What's up, guys? It's Brian here, and today we're going to be talking about a new drill of mine that I think is going to help you understand the mechanics behind creating quality contact with your chipping and pitching, and also how to maintain that quality contact as you start to create different trajectories. So let's go ahead and get into it. For the drill, you're going to need 3 tees, and we're going to place them in the ground like you see here. You're going to have a high tee, a medium tee, and a low tee. They're going to be offset and staggered from one another. That way we can swing and hit one tee at a time. The high tee is going to go in the back of your stance. The middle tee is going to go near trail foot, and the smallest tee is going to go somewhere in the middle of your stance or maybe slightly behind the middle of stance. The exact height of the tees or the distance apart doesn't matter a ton in the beginning. You'll kind of figure out as you go. Also, the camera angle here is kind of behind that smallest tee, so it looks like it's way forward in my stance, but it's actually not. To start, we are going to set up with one of the tees on our target line. Right now I'm set up with the tall tee on my target line, and my goal here is to hit that tee as I'm going through. But I want to just clip the top of the tee, kind of like you see there. If it barely moves, that's about as perfect as we're going to get. And once we do that, we're then going to move on to the middle tee. And then finally move on to the low tee. Also, if it works better for your backswing style, you can start with the club head on the tee. The first thing that you need to know about the mechanics is that the trail hand is going to be moving the club towards the ground or towards the tee. The trail hand picks the club up in the backswing, so we're going to use that to move it towards the ground. The other thing that we need to know is that we are moving the handle towards the target. Through rotation, lateral movement, and a little bit of rise, we are moving the handle forward. The first and maybe more important purpose of this drill is to be able to marry the widening of the arc with the forward movement in order to find quality contact consistently. The second purpose is to make you more sophisticated. By having different tees that we're working on hitting, we are teaching ourselves the timing of the widening so as to allow us to hit different trajectories. In the shot I just hit, I was focusing on hitting it low and therefore was visualizing landing the club on the lowest tee. And now I'm going to hit a mid shot, and so I'm focusing on hitting the middle tee. One important note here is that I'm not trying to land the club on the ground where the tee is. I still would like to move the low point forward, close to where the ball is, but by visualizing clipping the top of the tee, I'm allowing myself to widen the arc at an appropriate time to hit the trajectory I would like. Here, I'm focusing on clipping the back tee so as to hit a high shot. The first way we might mess this up is by pushing our arms off of our rotation. Now the club is traveling more back and down than forward. The second way we might catch a tee too early, which would represent getting too much ground or getting the ground early, is lowering. This lowering hurts our rotation and eats up space that we need for the release. As you can see here, as long as I don't do those two things, I can throw the trail wrist at the ground fairly firmly and not really have any problems. But as soon as I start to push off of my body or to drop, it's very easy to get too much ground. However, keep in mind, timing is still important. I can release too early, not necessarily incorrectly, and get the back of the tee or get the ground too soon. On the flip side, we can go over the tee or hit thin shots by getting too lateral relative to the shot that we're trying to hit, although that's not super common. The other more common for better players is they try to shove their hands too far forward instead of letting the rotation take care of that. Also, some people pull their arms in towards them during the shot. A few closing thoughts before I let you go here. One, I would use plastic tees instead of wood tees. If you use wood, they're going to break too often. You're going to need way more than 3 tees. Two, this is a somewhat complicated drill. If you don't already have some measure of control over the club head, there's a simpler version of this drill that I can record at some point and share. This is primarily for people that have played golf for a little while and, again, have some measure of control over the club head. 3, if you are a better player and you've thought about this stuff, the mechanics of short game and trying to keep your turf interaction perfect, this, that, and the other, sometimes you guys make things too complicated, and that will make you worse. Yes, mechanics are important. Yes, hitting sophisticated shots, the better the player you are, the more important it is. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be aware of this stuff. There's a reason why I did this video. But at the same time, your job is to understand a few things. Figure out how fast the ball is going to come off of the face, how much spin it might get. And then from there, you're just trying to make decent contact. I want you to get over the ball after you've cleared all this up and you feel confident. I want you to look at a dimple on the ball and remember that you're just hitting a ball with a stick.